divine connection.
Welcome to the Divine Connection Show. Divine connections are those associations or relationships that God has preordained for us. You are with your host, Katrina Deal-McCall, Clotia Mack, and Tenora Edwards. And now let's welcome our guests, Pastor Sykes and Pastor Harris. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right, Pastor Sykes, if you can tell our audience a little more about what you do, your kingdom walk, your pastorship. Yeah, give us more.
Absolutely. So let's just start. I'm just a regular guy who just love God. That's just put it out there. So one of the basic fundamentals for me is just staying relevant and real, that every man and woman can really see who I am as a person. Because I often say people will not follow you if they don't know who you are. And secondly, I often tell people don't really care what you know until they know that you care about them. And so for me, I am an open book. I don't hide anything. So in these 21 years, wow, right? 21 years of me preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ, and I'm only 41, and I didn't grow up in church. So half my life I've been preaching, but I didn't grow up in church at all. In 10 of those years, I've been very privileged to pastor New Door Praise and Worship Center. I'm very grateful for that opportunity. But to answer your question, I just stay relevant around relevant, real people that they can give their life to Jesus Christ and just glorify them in their everyday life.
Awesome. And Pastor Harris, tell us a little more about your kingdom walk.
I've had a very colorful, multicultural, I guess you could call it, Christian walk. I grew up Baptist. I did a Pentecostal transition, and I'm landing in the non-denominational realm where everyone, I don't care what color you are, what you grew up listening to, whatever the case may be, there is one God. Yes. And that one God loves you.
Yes.
So that's what I want. That's where I am. God has brought me to a place now where I'm pastoring at New Door Praise and Worship Center, just attempting to edify and encourage the body, but more specifically women.
Yes.
If God did it for me,
yeah.
He can definitely do it for you. And I think women need to hear that because we're wearing a lot of hats. We're dealing with a lot of things, and whether we say them, whether we don't say them, we need to have a refuge. Not that all people don't, but I think there's something about God being our dad.
Yes.
Being Abba Father.
Yes.
That's a relationship like none other. And so I want to help other women experience that.
That's so awesome. That's awesome. Well, we were just discussing, to cheat a little bit, about of sitting still and how God is still moving things and still connecting people. And Pastor Sykes, you wanted to share what God was doing in this season for you, but also if you can just start off with some of the divine connection stories that helped you along the way to get you where you need to be for the kingdom work that you do.
So first and foremost, the connection that I have with God is irreplaceable. And so God, when I found God as the best connection that I have ever had, ever encountered in my life. And outside of that, my wife has definitely enlarged my territory of my thinking. And so that connection has grounded me and has stabilized me and now taken me to the next level of life. And so those are the things that I have realized at a very young age, to be humble in these connections. And when I tell you some of the connections that I have had in this pandemic has changed that dynamic of my life and my ministry. And so if I was the pastor over this nation, the prophet over this nation, I would clearly tell everyone that we're all pregnant with possibilities in this pandemic. And God is birthing something through us that is painful, but yet it is necessary.
Yes.
And so in this place that we are in right now, we have to make sure that we seize every connection, every opportunity for us to further the gospel of Jesus Christ and to continue to build his kingdom for his purposes. He gets the glory. But I tell you, there is some benefits by being his child. And I'm telling you, listen, I've never been blessed. I was telling my mother, if you don't mind, I was telling my mother how blessed I am in one of the worst periods of time. I am so blessed. Why? It's because of the connections that I have. And so I always go back to the Bible. I believe it was Elijah in the Bible who God sent him to a dried up land.
Yes.
But he told him, I am going to allow the brook to never run dry because you're my prophet that I say. And I'm telling you, we all are experiencing something that we've never experienced before. But I'm telling you, we have never experienced the bountiful blessings that we are experiencing now. Let me make a point and I'll give it back to you. Your freezer has never been this full. But God is blessing us.
That's true.
We listen. My wife made a point the other day to tell me that she's tired of tossing out food. Y'all catch that in a second. Never before have we tossed out food, but when you have an overflow, it not only fills the cup, but it flows down onto the saucer. And I'm telling you, God is doing something great in this time. We just need to seize the opportunity. We just need to take godly advantage of where we are right now.
Yes, that's good. That's so good. That's so good. So, Fatima, what can you say in this season, where God is taking you and the connections He's making in your life right now?
I see it as, pardon my analogy, but I've seen it as surgery. I've seen this as spiritual surgery because I've seen it affect all walks of life, genders, races, nationalities. During this season, it was meant to scare us, to provoke fear. Not that it shouldn't, and I'm not speaking to using common sense in this season, but I'm speaking to the underrooted fear of loss that kind of just was thrown out into the atmosphere. And you had to really root and ground yourself to stand and speak those things and to remember who you are and to remember who God is and what he said. He is the author and the finisher.
Yes.
So coronavirus, this season, darkness, fear, it has no place where he brings light.
Yes.
But we have to carry that. We've got to be the disciples of this time to speak against the forces and principalities that are trying to inundate us, whether it's in our TV, whether it's at the grocery store or at the gas pump, wherever the forces were. So to me, it was like kind of a spiritual surgery where even the strongest man, I think, had to go in and do some spiritual checkups.
That's good. That's good.
But then as we began to do our spiritual checkups, we had to make sure and extend a hand to those who didn't have a grounding, don't know, don't have a reliance on God. There is no relationship. So I think it did some kind of spiritual surgery where arrogance is removed. Bitterness has to go.
Yes.
Resentment, fear, doubt, anger, you name it. Anything in there that's not going to help you stay rooted and grounded in this season. To stay in this season, you had to at least begin to consider to let it go.
Yes. Yes.
And that's what I've gotten out of this season. The old stuff can't stay. We got to go on to a new way. They talk about we won't have a normal as we knew it is gone.
Yes.
And I thank God for that. Because my faith of yesterday ain't going to be able to take me to where he getting ready to take me after this is over.
Yes. Yes.
So if I can believe that, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You okay? I was just
saying if I
about.
go ahead.
Okay. No, you are. Go ahead, girl. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, Pastor. Go ahead.
and I always resort back to this. If I, a mere human, a mother, an employee, and all these other human hats that I wear, if I can just begin to know that he loves me unconditionally,
Yes.
I can make it through anything.
Yes.
Yes. Go ahead.
I like the idea of surgery that you talked about, because in the natural, when you go in for surgery, they want someone to accompany you out, or they want to know who's going to help you recover. And I think that's where divine connections come in, divine kingdom come in, because if we could be a soft space for each one of us to land. So it's like, okay, I have some stuff in my heart, the Lord dealing with me. I need somebody there to help me recover and to help heal me and to make sure that okay, now wait a minute now. You know, you just came out of surgery. You shouldn't be lifting that. You shouldn't be drinking that. You need to be taking your medicine spiritually. Okay, you don't need to go back in that place. Okay, guard your heart, guard your mouth, guard your mind. Make sure you take it in the word. So all of those things, when we think about surgery, I love that analogy. And the fact that I need, when I'm coming out of surgery, I need someone to help me heal. The surgery got it out, but I still need someone to help me heal. And so this has been my prayer, like, Lord, all of us who, you know, little places here and there, let us come together. Like, there is no big I and little you, because Jesus said, if I be lifted up, he ain't say if a church be lifted up, if a program be lifted up, if a pastor be lifted up. He said, if I be lifted up. So I'm like, how powerful could that be if we all came together to lift Jesus up? And then he will do the drawing. Like, it ain't your program, it ain't your preaching, it ain't your car, it ain't your big congregation. But the divine connection is so that we are a greater voice to lift Jesus, and then he will do the drawing. So I love that. I love that we are all connected to one another, that we're trying to get to know each other in the spirit as well as in the natural. And we're really trying to foster those divine connections so that we can be a healing agent for the land. So that analogy of surgery, it just triggered that in regards to staying divinely connected and helping each other to heal. Even those of us who look like we got it going on. Oh, he spoke in tongues, he prophesied, he this and that. Yeah, but he hurting because his daddy wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? So all of this silence that God has given us to be able to hear him and to allow him to really come in, I think is great. And I think that as we come out of surgery, that if we are staying divinely connected to God and to one another, is going to be amazing. Like, it's going to be so good. So good. So that's all I wanted to say.
One key thing that you mentioned, Clotia, and also Pastor Harris, is the willingness in this season. So obedience is also the key to this, because it's so easy in the season to say, hey, everything's shut down. I don't want to do anything. I'm just going to sit and I'm just going to soak and I'm not going to do anything. But the willingness, even in the season, to keep going. And receiving what God has for you, and receive what he's telling you to do. And when he say go and moving in that direction, he tells you to move. Because with divine connections is also divine direction. And so with these connections, it may be something that a person that you need to connect to send you on a different path, or to reach more people, to bring them to the kingdom, or to minister to. Tenora, did you have something to add? Can she hear me? Miss Tenora?
She's looking like
okay. All right.
Can you see me?
Yeah,
Can
we
you hear
can see
me?
you. Yeah.
All right. Okay. My screen is blank, so I can't see you guys, but I did have something I wanted to add. To go back and piggyback on what Clotia was speaking on, from Pastor Harris about the surgery, I wanted to ask, before the surgery, ask both of you, who or did you have a mentor or a divine connection that led you to where you are today, as far as maybe a spiritual mentor or someone that poured into you or guided you?
Let me go first. So my mentor great, 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 great mentor called brokenness. Uh,
Well,
uh, so I was actually
Woo!
broke. I was broken from the church at the age of 19, 20. I was broken from the church and then got back into it. I was broken again. And so I didn't grow up in church at all. From 0 to 17, I've never stepped inside of a church. And to see some of the stuff that I saw in church and some of the games that were being played, and then when I announced my calling, that God had called me to be a pastor and to start a church, and I was young at the time, to be ostracized really turned me off. And to be very transparent, at that time, I was also going through a divorce, broken home. I was at the worst time of my life. And so that was the crossroads, if you will, of brokenness that I was determined to, no matter what I've been through, no matter what I go through, to allow God to get the glory out of all of it. And it was right there that God began, through the Holy Spirit, to mentor my mind, my soul, and my fleshly desires, to let me know that regardless to what man say, that I will open up a door that no man can shut. And so, to answer your question, the greatest mentor for me was not man, it was brokenness.
All right. Yeah,
wow.
we had mentioned from the previous show that while you working that thing out, God is still taking that pain and that purpose and where you are, and you're connecting to people, but you're working your stuff out and helping other people.
Absolutely. Here's why. Because I'm not afraid to tell the truth. I'm not afraid to go on national television or Zoom or social media to say, listen, I made some mistakes in my life. I did some things wrong. I'm 41 and, probably still have a desire to still want to go to the club. But I can't because I can't afford to. I can't afford. But when I tell you that in transparency, God is sending me some people like the people on the screen that can encourage me, and I can encourage you solely because I'm sharing my testimony. Yes. It's not always the scriptures that start the process of salvation. Yes. I believe it's solely because of the testimony of man that will draw another person to want to hear the gospel of Jesus Christ. You can never clean a fish before you catch it. So in these connections, it has blessed my life because I was at a place where I didn't trust church people, and I'm still at a place where I don't allow everyone to come preach to the people that God allowed me to serve. So I still have some trust issues. Don't get me twisted here. I still have some trust issues, but the connections that are authentic, I nourish them and I take care of them. But anything that's not connected to God and is draining my energy, you can rest assured that I'm going to use some spiritual scissors and cut them off without any hesitation.
You better appreciate it. Miss Pastor Harris.
How do you follow something like that? You see him? Yes. I've had some very strong women ministers and pastors in my life. I grew up in the church, but in and out of the church was my background story. I believe God, but I believe God on my time, not on his time.
Right.
And as you grow up, I realized that my time was his time. And that I needed to get on the right clock, and I needed to listen to the people that he was strategically sending into my life. I mean, things very abnormal. My coming to and being under the tutelage of Pastor Sykes, that was a connection from a coworker of mine.
Okay.
I knew her. She invited me to church. I was in a place. She saw that and invited me. And from that connection, I haven't left.
Awesome.
So it's things like that. When you know God got you, even in the wavering, even in the doubting, even in the questioning, I just believe that with my whole heart, if I just let him know, God, listen, I don't know. I don't know what today, I don't know, but I know you. And I know that you can do anything but fail.
Yes.
So I just believe that he's, oh, go ahead.
No, go finish your statement. Go.
That's it. I was just going to say that he's connected. Everything about my life feels like it's divinely connected, because I'm learning how to release my agenda a little bit more and let his agenda ride. And from that, it connects.
Yes. And Pastor Sykes, you wanted to add something to that?
Yeah, so in a practical sense, I've never plugged my laptop to a socket and it did not give it energy. The moment that it does not give energy, that means there's something wrong with the electrical current.
Mm-hmm.
Simply put, anybody or any persons in your life that you're connected to that's not causing you to get better, it's a dead situation. And so we need to identify these individuals, no matter if they're kindred, no matter if they're friends, whomever they may be. So we cannot be ashamed to disconnect from any persons who are trying to draw energy from us and bring us down. The reality is that you're on the launching pad of your divine assignment. But if something is attached to you, it will keep you grounded. It will cause you to crash eventually. So we cannot be afraid to shake some people off.
Yes.
And we also cannot be afraid to meeting new people.
Yes.
So that's one of the things that I had to overcome in my connection because my circle is very small. And so because I didn't grow up in church, I do have a stigma. I don't play church games. God is real for me. I don't play church. I don't go to church. I am the church. So I don't have no time to play with it because God has proven himself over and over again. And so anytime people come into my life that's trying to bring it down, I don't care how long you've been there, it's time to pull the plug because it's dead.
Yes.
Yeah. I think sometimes we're afraid to reassess and reevaluate even our kingdom friends. We think, oh, we're in the same ministry. We've both been going to the same church for 35 years. But I always say that longevity doesn't equate to loyalty. Just because they've been around a long time doesn't mean it is a relationship that you should be loyal to. And so what I'm finding, especially in these times, is you kind of really seeing people for who they are. It's like, oh, that's what's going on. I'm like, okay, Lord, but thank you for revealing it while we're in the quarantine, because then now I got to rebuke the spirit of smack. I don't want to smack people because I ain't around nobody, okay? So it's just that idea of really evaluating the relationship, really being led. I love what you said about being open to new people, because some people, I ain't trying to make no new friends. Or when I hear women in ministry say, I don't do women. That don't match. How are you in ministry, but you talking about you don't do women? When people say things like that, I know that there's an area in their life or in their relationship that has not been healed.
Insecurity.
And so I know how to move appropriately with them. But you are so right that we have to be open to meeting new people, and we have to be willing to, I say, put people there, people in our front row who probably never earned it. Well, that's my cousin, so he need to be in the fifth row. Some people need to be in the balcony. Some people need to be out. So we can't be afraid to rearrange people and let new people in, because I believe God will give you, he'll give you discernment. He'll show you if the connection is divine, if it's supposed to be for a moment, for a season, or he will show you. So even though I've been hurt, and I love what you said, Pastor Harris, about having strong women, because a lot of us, I know Katrina and Tenora and I, we've been hurt by women pastors, and it took me a lot to join a church where it was a woman pastor. I'm like, I ain't joining. You ain't gonna hurt me again. Like, y'all got me messed up. Cause we're like, you join, and I was want to join here. But just getting over that hurt, everything. So it's good that you have that testimony, that you've had strong women who've given you an example and not been, where we learn what not to do. Because a lot of ministry for us has been what not to do. It's like, okay, can we see some what to do? And okay, I know what not to do, but can we see some what to do? So those divine connections have really helped to heal me. And it sounds like that's what you two are saying as well. It helped to heal you in those areas that God needed to heal in order to take you in another place in ministry. So,
Yes.
I'm learning a lot today too, and I'm really excited about the fact of letting new people in. And my circle is also closed too, but you know, God use different people, so we won't get to experience them or experience his fullness if we don't let new people in. And I love the fact of not being afraid to let some old people go, because during this pandemic time, you know, we've all probably had a chance to sit back and reevaluate and really look closely at healthy and unhealthy relationships. So thank you for sharing that.
And then not being afraid. Clotia, you mentioned a great point. God will give you the discernment. He'll show you exactly what you need to see. If you need it just raw and uncut, he's going to show you that version of that person. And it's not going to be a question when you do decide to cut that off and move on.
Yeah.
So that is great. That is great.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask as well. You in this season, I know you have. We have discussed a couple of different projects that God has given you, and the community things that you have going on. And would you like to share that with our audience as well? The pantry and then just all of that is just great. If you can.
Absolutely. So let me just tell the world, if you guys did not know, so we are in the process, the planning stages of going after transitional housing. But I don't want to take credit for that. I don't want to take credit for that at all. I have 5 board members, and Pastor Harris is one of them. She's over all the women at the church. Let me pause and tell you, I'm smart enough to know that I have to put smarter people around me. My whole staff is completely smarter than I am, and I have no problem saying that.
That's
Absolutely.
good. That's a
I
good
have no
word.
problem saying that. So, but I just want to give kudos to not only Pastor Harris, but all 5 board members of New Door Praise and Worship Center have invited and gave Pastor Harris the position of CEO of all of our transitional housings and schools and nonprofits, that she can build them to the best of her ability, because she has the gift and the passion and the will to get it done. So I just want to give kudos to her. She can expound on that a little more. She is the CEO of all of our nonprofit transitional housings. But in addition to that, my team and I have, with the help of Katrina and others in the community, there's a lady that I met because of you, Sister McCall, Minister McCall. I'm gonna call you Minister McCall. There's a lady that I met because of you. And every single month, it's right here. I'm going to show it to you before I get off. She sends a box of dishwashing liquid to my house for the pantry. You can't tell me how connections will change your life. It will completely change your life. I really can't even call her name right now. She's in my inbox. But let me tell you, can I see the box? And so we have the pantry. We have the pantry. And it's growing to be massive, not because y'all see this?
Yes.
It just came today. And it's all because I connected with you guys. So I'm very appreciative of that. So let me tell you about the pantry. The pantry is not only for the church, but it's for our community. We want to be a blessing to the Muslim. We want to be a blessing to the agnostic, the atheist. Whomever's in need, we want to be a blessing to them. But we don't believe in handouts. Pastor Sykes doesn't believe in handouts in this pay-it-for pantry. Here's how it works. We want the people to understand in this pantry, they're just not coming to get food, but when they come, we will educate them on how to catch the fish while we're giving them the fish. And so here's what we ask every individual who comes to the pantry. Yes, you can have whatever you want. You can shop for free. But when you get on your feet, come back and strengthen your brother. And so then the pantry can continue to be a blessing to all of the people in our community. But guess what? It did not happen without the help of these divine connections. I would tell you that 75 to 85% of the goods in that pantry did not come from within. They came because I met one person that led me to another person that led me to another person. Now I drive up from work, I pull up, and I got Amazon boxes on my porch. And I'm so grateful for these connections. And so God is doing the pantry. He's doing the pantry there. He's also CEO. Did I say CEO? Pastor Fatima Harris. God bless her. She has a heart for women, and I understand that. And I want God to make use her in any way that He see fit. Yes, I am the senior pastor of New Door Praise and Worship Center, but I didn't call her from divine purposes. That's not the call. I am just a person who's going to nourish the seed to allow her to grow. In addition to that, we not only have a pantry, but a nonprofit, but we're also a school. Many people don't know we have K through 4th grade, which is huge. And so we want to be a blessing to the children. And lastly, as I get off this soapbox, if we teach them now and we form them now, we don't have to reform them later.
That's right.
That's good.
Right. That's right.
Yes, yes. Pastor Harris, you want to go ahead, Miss CEO?
Yes, I will. So as Pastor said, and you just don't know, God is amazing. So anybody out there listening to me real quick, before I tell you this, just trust God. Just trust God. So New Door Praise and Worship Center. So we are going to open up a limitless number of transitional homes for young women aging out of foster care.
That's going to be wonderful.
From 18 to 21 years old. Mm-hmm. Once we get that off the ground, I would love to extend the opportunity to young men. Where God is taking me with this is, as He said, if you get them young, you don't have to reform them when they're older. So what He's telling me is a lot of the children, young people, maybe adolescents, young adults, end up in the foster care system, not always, or sometimes at no fault of their own. That doesn't mean that they don't deserve love, education, nourishing, nurturing, experience, exposure, connectivities. So I want to be the one to give them that. I want to take the opportunity and teach someone they write their life. Life doesn't happen to them. They're going to happen to life.
Right.
And they're going to do that under the protection, the love, and the genuineness of God.
Yes.
That's the healer. He's the protector.
Yes.
He's the financer. He's the health. He's the doctor. He's the lawyer.
Yeah.
Yes. That's so good. That's so good. Tenora, Clotilde has something to add to that? Because you're right, Pastor Harris and Pastor Sykes, you're with the teacher, Miss Clotilde Mack is a teacher, and you can also say Miss Edwards is too. She owned a couple of daycare centers. So yeah, this fits right in.
Mm-hmm. It does. It does. So when they say the whole school thing, I'm like, oh, because I know. I was listening to this lady. Oh my goodness, Angela Stanton anyway. She is a Black lady. She is a Republican, and she's been on different venues talking about Trump and what he has done. And she's like, we need to look at the policies and not the person. And she talked about a few things that he had done, but she talked about abortion and the killing of our babies. And she talked about Black men being brought back home to their families. And she talked about the disparity in the educational system and different things that I know because I see it. And so I'm like, oh my goodness, this is something to think about. So when you talk about helping children, our babies, but helping young adults transition out of foster care, I'm like, that is going to be amazing because it's so many, goodness gracious. I mean, I teach high school, so I see so much in regards to what's going on in the home and how it's impeding them from success and just so many different things. So I really commend you. I will be lifting that up in prayer. If there's anything I can do, I will help. But our young people, you know, and I'm looking at even our millennials, as we talk about, you know, divine connections, how they, you know, they've been given a bad rap, but they on the front lines out here, you know, with Black Lives Matter and all this stuff going on. They are educated. It's like, oh, so that fire that we kind of misjudged, God put that fire in them. I'm totally convinced. And so our young people, they got some stuff going on. I think it's just a matter of them, like you said, learning their history, learning who God is, learning who he created them to be. That home is going to be amazing. It is going to be so amazing. It is so needed. And I'm so excited about it as a teacher. And to know, you know, if we don't get them when they're babies, like you said, we need to get them while they're babies. And just this whole village idea. It's the divine connection again. It's us coming together to heal the land. Us not just preaching, but showing them practical things too. Because I'm a scripture and strategy person. Don't just give me scripture. Don't tell me how to do it. Tell me how to walk it out. So I see that home being something where they are given scripture, but they are also given strategy. They are also taught. Baby, you can't just pray all the time. You got to get up. You got to fill out a resume. You might have to go to school. You got to get your GED. You know, so things like that, the practical side of life that I think we've gotten imbalanced because we want to pray. But this home is going to be able to show them how to pray and proceed, how to do what is in the word of God. So I'm so excited for you all. Yay! I'm happy. I feel like you said, let me get on my soapbox. So yes.
Pastor Harris, I mean, she just really, your passion and your motivation, I mean, you just keep speaking that and watch out, because I'm looking around like, what can I donate now?
Yeah,
amazing. You have that spirit, and you know what you're doing. We just want to encourage you to keep going, and you know, so many people need this service. So I'm motivated, and you will be getting something from us.
Amen. It's funny how one of the most basic principles that I like to share with people about my life is, and I've said this earlier, if he can do it for me, he can do it for you. I believe that God gave me this vision just simply because he knew he could trust me, because he had taken me to a place where I had children and I didn't know where money was going to come from. You have a job, you can't pay the bills, your kids need this, you got to be in 6 places at one time. All of the things that it takes to actually just function on a daily. Sometimes not everyone can prioritize, organize, and execute.
Yep.
And what's going to happen is this house is going to be a reset button.
Yes.
The motto coming in the door is, I don't care what they told you.
Come on.
I don't care what they told you. I don't care how you got here. I don't care what happened before you got to my door.
That's right.
But at this door, change happens here.
Yeah.
Transition, true transition.
Amen.
Pastor, when you say things like that, I'm telling you, just thinking about when my kids come in, they're like, ooh, you got him, he off the hook. And I start day one. I don't care what it was like, your 9th grade year, your 10th grade, your 11th grade year. I believe in you. We're going to do this together. If you see the look on their faces, like they ain't got no evidence. All they got is somebody in front of them saying, I believe in you. I'm not listening to what they said. I don't want you to listen to what they said. Together, we gonna do this. You gonna graduate. It's kind of like the golden ticket. Willy Wonka factory. I found the golden ticket. It's the golden ticket, girl, pastor, sister, girlfriend, cousin. So you saying that, man, I'm telling you. I mean, just that statement right there, that reset, because so many of them think like, oh, it's over. I done had a baby. I done done this. I done done that. It's over. And I know that you carry that same message to women in your connection with them. You know, it's like, girl, I don't care what happened. I don't care who left, how many times you were molested, your father left. Today, you done met me, and I'm here to tell you, you can reset. That's going to be so amazing for them.
Yes.
My heart beating fast.
Yeah.
It's good.
Amen. Amen.
Put me on mute. It's good. It's good.
I
I
done
see
lost
it every day. I see it every day. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
There she go.
it. Sorry. I don't know what
I just
happened.
warned y'all. I clown on here. I know we recording and all that, but you know, it's just it makes me so happy to see us collaborating. And Katrina, you said that at the beginning of this year. You said the Lord said all that solo stuff, he ain't on that. It's about collaboration. You said that way before COVID, way before you called. You said God said it is about collaboration. You only gonna be as strong as the person you collaborate with, and all this individual stuff. And I'm like, ooh, that was a word, because it's surely about collaboration, divine connection.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm gonna run after the show over.
So good. Anything more to add, Mr. Pastor Sykes?
She said enough. She said enough. I mean, I can't add to that. The CEO has spoken.
Yeah.
To God be the glory.
I cannot let you get away without saying something that's so powerful that you said that I hope people get. My little skinny finger. That you said, I'm smart enough to know that I need smarter people around me.
Yes.
Let me tell you something, especially for a man to say that, you cold. Because that takes a level of vulnerability. And this is what I tell people and my clients. I'm like, if you are the sharpest crayon in the box, you in the wrong box.
Right.
You have to get around people. You need a mentor who is now where you want to be. You can't be the coldest. You just can't. You got to get around somebody who can pour into you and see stuff like, don't do that. Now, let me tell you what's going to happen if you go down that road. So the fact that you can say that as a Christian pastor male, where y'all like, yeah, you know, I'm running this, you know, that speaks volumes that you like, no, I need people around me who know how to do better than I can so we can do this thing together. That is divine connection and collaboration at the heart of it all, that I can say, I don't know how to do that. I can do this. I'm cold at this. But that, no, girl, you better take this out of my hands.
I'm a visionary. I don't know how to put the meat on the bone. I'm a visionary. I don't know how to do the administrative stuff. That is not me. And so I know my gift. And so all 4 of my board members, they are incredibly more educated and smarter than I am. I know my gift. I know my lane, and I'm definitely comfortable in it. So, you know, God had me to reach out and to help Pastor Harris, and now she's helping me. And so a relationship is a reciprocal. It's a two-way type of deal. And so for me, you know, and I would add, not only being a black male in a high position, but also coming from a traditional Baptist church where no women even were able to speak in the pulpit. So I have broken the mold, and I am not afraid to lose friends because I believe in what God is doing in my life. So for me, for the practicalities of it, I can't tell a single black woman with 5 kids how to raise her kids, and nor am I comfortable with that. And as a married man, I know my place. I'm not going over there to pray for no woman 10 o'clock at no night. The devil is a lie. You won't have me on no Facebook Live.
That's right.
No, you won't. So I am wise enough to say, Pastor Harris, please pastor all of these women, and she's doing a great job at it. And so it takes the weight off of me in ministry. And so and that's the key. You know, God sent us some people, but because of these ego male chauvinistic traits that some of us have, but that we don't want to speak to. Our churches could be large in what they are, but because of the ego, they're incredibly small because we don't want to share the platform that God has given unto us.
That's a whole nother Zoom, Pastor.
Whole nother story.
Ego too big.
Yes, that's good. That's a word. That's a word. That's a word. Pastor Sykes, I want to share our first connection, and just God, even in your regular day life, and going on those missions that He has you on. You were doing a show, Jewels in His Crown, I Speak Life, Donnell Williams. He was speaking on her show. I was on my way down to the radio station to do a video for one of the speakers at the Complete Women's Conference. So the show ran a little over, but me and my husband was listening to the show on our ride down there. And your testimony was so powerful. It was like, this is so good. We just turned it up and we're just so in it. And so when we walked in, y'all were just coming out. And then, you know, you did your little group picture and all. But Donnell had spoke. She had elaborated a little more on your testimony, and then the two of you were just speaking what God has done and where He's taking you. And then you had introduced yourself to me and my husband. But I knew then, that dropped in my spirit then, I said, Lord, there's a connection there, but then, man, I know you have something for him to do, for me to do, but I'm just going to sit still and just wait on you. So in that connection, and me and my husband, we kept talking about that testimony was right on. We were just speaking about someone to speak to men in this time. There's so many powerful, women in a ministry connecting to other women, but we need more because our men are falling away. They're falling away. And so when we were discussing this is good. God has put him here to bring our men back to the forefront where they need to be, to connect and to be able to strong kingdom men. It's what I want to say. And so I sat there with that. So I get back to work on Monday, and I'm talking to one of the other ladies, one of my coworkers, who's also connected to you, Adrienne Love, and her fiance. So we were speaking. I said, well, I met this pastor who was at the radio station. I said, it's in my spirit. I said, God has something for him to do, or is a connection there, and I just don't know what it is, but I know God's gonna just drop it in the spirit. And she said, oh, I know Pastor Sykes. That's her fiance. He's like family to you, pretty much. And then he's like, yeah, he's so powerful. And I said, I'm just gonna sit and wait on this. So after the conference, and everything happened with the pandemic, and we're sitting home, and God, like, what's next? And I'm just like, okay, Lord, what is my assignment? What is my assignment here on out? I'm sitting still. I just want to hear you. And when he had dropped in my spirit about 2020, and he gave me the visions to see, you're going to have another conference, and it's going to be a men and women's conference. And these are the key people that I want to speak at this conference. Yes, you're so right in bringing more kingdom men to the forefront and not sitting in the back pews. It's time for our men to raise up to what kingdom men should be. And Pastor Sykes is going to speak to that. And so when I connected, to you, you don't know me from Adam. We had that first connection at the radio station with me and my husband. And I said, okay, Lord, I'm going to pray and I'm going to connect to those certain ones. And the first thing out of your mouth, yes, this is going to be big. Because also that was the vision he gave me. This is going to be big. And what he gave is changing the culture. Changing culture was the name of the conference, the whole theme of the conference. So our God is cold. He is cold-blooded. Let me tell you, he's so cold because
he's so cold.
Beginning of, this whole pandemic and everything, and the Black Lives Matter, we're still dealing with COVID-19, and even in the Black Lives Matter movement. And they're changing they want to change they want to, change people's minds and their perception and get them more where they need to know about our culture. And I said, Lord, you so cold. That's why you gave me that name, changing the culture. Because before we get to 2020, there's already going to be a lot of connections. There's going to be already a lot of change. And that's just set it off. I'm excited.
So can I say this?
You said,
Can I say this about the male culture? I'm
Yes.
sorry, because I'm 41, so I can't remember a lot. So I can't remember a whole lot. So one of the things that we're going to talk about, and it probably is a whole nother conversation, but it's something to be said when 75% of the women are in church are single. There's something to be said about that.
Say that.
And so it's larger than just going to church shouting. It's larger than just going to church praying. It's larger than having Bible studies. We really have to deal with the cultural issues that happen in our society. No matter if you're white or you're black, there's some cultural normacies that are happening that we are so numb to that now we call them normal. Case in point, in 10 seconds, there is something called social engineering. You put the same people in the same place and they're going to produce the same thing. And so there's a reason why not only the black man, but the man is not in the house, because in some regards, indirectly, the government has said, when I give you Section 8, and I give you these stamps, he cannot live there. So you got to understand the diabolical plan that is plaguing our black men, our white men, and every man. And so this is why the young man is growing up with women-like traits, because that's all he sees. And so all of us, whatever we see and absorb, that's what we're going to become. So we need to have these conversations of the cultural normacies, that we can break the cycles and make this next generation even better, and even refurbish the old generations to make some of us even better.
Preach. That's
She just said that today about that Section 8. She just said that. I said, ooh wee. And I was writing that. I'm like, I'm getting ready to research this. That is so on point, because it's things that we don't know. And you don't know what you don't know, but yet you're being impacted by it. And future generations are being impacted by it. So you are so right. It's time out for, I know. Well, no, you get ready to know. So we can change the culture. Ooh, that's going to be juicy. I'll be married by then, right, Jesus?
I'm just going to drop a little nugget for you. Also in my spirit, he dropped some single women going to be married after that conference. I'm going to let you know that.
Okay, I'll take shortly after. Okay, right? We on the same page? Okay, we going to talk when it's over? Okay, I got it. Hallelujah.
All right, so that hour went by so fast. So I'd like to leave the viewers with a word of encouragement. So Pastor Sykes, would you go ahead and give the viewers a little word of encouragement?
So you can do it. Let's just start right there. Believe it in yourself. Believe in God, but also believe in yourself. God has given us the ability to, excuse my son, Lord Jesus, the ability to believe in ourselves. And that's what we have to walk with authority. When people see us, they should see the light of God, because we are only the representation that he has in this earth. So we have to represent. We can't walk around with our heads low. We cannot walk around defeated, depressed, and dealing with the mundane dramas of life and being defeated by it. So what we have to do is make sure that our minds is on Christ. And if our minds on Christ, we are already the victor. We just got to walk in victory. So all of you, even the people on Zoom, I just want you to know, you got it. Just keep going. Don't stop. No matter what people say, people are going to come. They're going to leave. They're going to talk. They're not going to talk. People are going to be people. But guess what? If you stand flat-footed in God, those thoughts of worrying about what people say about you will completely diminish, because you're worrying about your own business.
That's good.
Man.
And Mr. Harris, you next. What would you like to leave the people with?
I would just like to say, and I know some days are harder than others for the believers and the non-believers alike, but my message is universal, and that is that God is who he said he is.
Yeah.
Yes, that's awesome.
And that's a variety of things for a variety of people. And he is my God and he's your God at the same time.
All right. And Miss Tenora?
I just want to thank our speakers for their transparency and their truth, and being a blessing to so many others. Thank you so much.
Yes. And Miss Clotia Mack.
Put them off. No, okay, no, that's no more. I just want to say pursue peace. Pursue peace, but let it start in here. Whatever it is that's disturbing your peace, get rid of it. Whatever it is that brings you peace, which I know for us is the word of God, but if it's something going to look at a lake or just that meditation time, that quiet time, whatever it is that brings you peace, do more of that and get rid of the things that are disturbing your peace, because peace is yours. It's yours for the taking. You just got to take it.
Oh, that's so awesome. And I just would like to close with one of your favorite words, Clotia, is intentional. Being intentional every single day, especially in this season, to ask God when and where. When and where. Because those two questions, he's going to connect you to where he wants you to be for the kingdom, for your next level. So being intentional every single day, especially in this season. God, what is my assignment? What is my assignment? This is not the time to just be stale. It's what is my assignment? Because we all have something to do. We all have a connection to make. All right. I'd just like to thank you, our special guest, for taking the time to be with us today. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Right. And I know we'll be seeing you again.
Yes.
Amen. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
It's a divine connection.